Welcome back. Planning for retirement can be overwhelming, and it's easy to make mistakes along the way. But with the right information and planning, you can steer clear of some common pitfalls and ensure a comfortable retirement. One such mistake is overlooking the advantages of delaying your Canada Pension Plan payments. Here's Dr. Bonnie Jean MacDonald, Director of Research for Financial Security at the National Institute on Aging, on why delaying your CPP can have a significant impact on your retirement. Take a look.
One solution that I've been really trying to promote, because I saw this years ago and it makes no sense and not everyone's doing it, is people should be delaying their Canada Pension Plan. If you took the money that you would need to delay your pension plan and you actually went to buy an annuity, you'd actually get half the pension. Delay your pension plan, basically every year you delay, it goes up significantly, and it's such a good deal. So I started to put my mind around, well, how do you explain this to people when people are looking so short term, but they actually really should be planning 20, 30 years out into the future? So I actually came up with a statistic that I found in my calculations that the typical Canadian who chooses to take their pension, their CPP at 60 rather than 70, is actually losing $100,000 over their lifetime. And that's in today's dollars after you take into account inflation.
So there's one piece of advice, Rob. What are some other strategies people can use to stretch their retirement savings?
I really believe that you have to be thinking longer term, because everyone is so focused in on the short term, what's happening around them today. They don't have the ability to think about retirement being 30 years. And you really have a 30-year time frame for your investment. So if you think short term, typically you're going to be in short-term products, shorter term returns, smaller returns. But if you actually have someone to interact with, someone to talk to, you can put them into that product that is a little bit more risky, but over the longer term is probably going to be the most appropriate product to help them maintain and build that nest egg.
Can you give an example?
Quite simply, if you want to get longer term exposure, you're probably going to need to get some exposure to the stock market. And you can get exposure to the stock market through mutual funds, through GICs. And, stock market doesn't go up in a straight line. There's going to be times when there will be dips. But if you have a plan in place and you're willing to accept a drawdown of 10, 15%, that long-term bucket of money will be able to grow and you'll be able to draw from it each and every year. And that's a completely different scenario versus just putting your money in the bank account and saying, I don't want to lose a dime.
What else? I mean, I was struck by that, $100,000 over your lifetime if you just delay your CPP by as little as 5 years.
Yeah, I think, Marissa, it's interesting because it is one option, right? And it's important to understand that one option is not for everyone. And so when we think about it, Monica, to your point, some people may choose to work. And in fact, in our research, it shows that over 60% of Canadians plan to work during retirement, take on some sort of engagement so that they can stay involved, not just for financial purposes, but for their own life purpose, so that they can have something to do each day and find meaning. And so, working is an option. Other options, of course, are thinking about how we live, right? So do we live with family? Do we plan differently with family and friends? There's a number of choices that Canadians can make.
Actually, it's funny you should say that. So several of my friends and myself, we're single, and we're all fine, but we are actually seriously talking about kind of golden girling it in the future, pooling our resources. And, ideally we would buy maybe like a fourplex or something like that, or just a big house with enough space and washrooms for everybody and live together, of course, covering it legally with paperwork and whatnot. But I mean, those are options, and those are actually becoming more and more common, especially in Europe. So I'm hoping it'll trickle over here.
The difficulty is one will die, and then you have to bring a new one in. And that's a very real thought about, how will that chemistry work? Something you plan together is good, but inevitably.
I do want to ask you, because you spoke about it in the last segment, how you went bankrupt. I mean, how would you describe the biggest mistake you made there?
Stupidity is one word. I honestly think it was the 80s, and the 80s were when that consumption and that kind of wealth first appeared on the scene. And I was living in Los Angeles, and I was young, and shiny things appealed to me. And so I bought shiny things. If I saw a painting I wanted, I bought it. And I didn't understand credit. I didn't understand credit cards. It stuns me now when I think back. I mean, I have mortification and shame, and this book that I've written, Oops, I Forgot to Save Money, what I say about it is, it's not a how-to, it's a don't ever. But I wrote this with every honest, terrible thing I've ever done, and my husband, who's also a freelancer, and we were just, the answer to your question is, we were stupid. We weren't thinking.
You know, I hear that frustration and that, and I also want to say that it's complex. Money is complex.
Very.
And it's not that necessarily you were stupid, it was that you didn't have a partner to go alongside you, right? And when we talk to Canadians, they tell us that having a financial planner helps them to navigate the complexity and helps them to navigate the behavioral challenges that come with money when you see the bright, shiny object or you want to keep up with the Joneses.
There's financial planners, there's also advocates, Bill. Tell me about some of the initiatives that are happening at CARP in this area.
Well, one of the things, and that's the word we're using, be your own best self-advocate and make sure you get good advice. We're also urging governments to be more aware. You know, we talk about the 70% of people who are living relatively comfortably at the moment. That means 30% of Canadians are living uncomfortably. They're not happy, and they're very concerned that they're going to outlive their money. In fact, they don't have enough money right now. So we really shouldn't be bragging about the fact that 70% are doing okay these days. We should be really concerned about that other 30%. And when we talk to seniors, we had a focus group recently of seniors talking about their financial situations across the country. You know, they're angry at the lack of understanding and support that's there from government. The government just doesn't seem to care about them and understand. They look at things like that $235 that seniors are going to get for groceries shortly. You know, that's millions of dollars for over 7 million people will get it. 70% of them are saying, we don't need it. Why doesn't the government take all that money and give it to the 30% of people who really, really do?
All right, hold that thought. We'll take a closer look at some of the retirement expenses next. Don't go away.